Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Manhattan Community Board Elections Committee meeting. Today is October 6, 2023. It is 6:31. And joining me is John Green and Pastor Isaac Scott, are members of our committee, and our district manager, Angel Muskane, will be our liaison tonight. Thank you so much. So I'm going to read the ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. If there are any community board 11 members listening, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, raise your hand and you are in wait to be recognized. To raise your hand through Zoom, click the participants icon and the raise the hand function there. If you have technical difficulty, click the chat icon and relay your difficulty to the staff. The chat is disabled for any other any comments, only for something important. So please realize that we are not monitoring the chat except for anything that is a technical difficulty. Any members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. I will recognize the next person to speak. And as I mentioned, the chat will not be used for CB11 business. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. So with that said, I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:32. Angel Muskane, can you do a roll call?
No, so Rama,
Here.
John Green,
Yeah.
Isaac Scott,
Yeah.
Jordan Wright.
Somebody's at the other.
I will be right back.
We have quorum.
Everybody.
You see it? So thank you so much for your patience. We have another member of our committee here, Jordan Wright, and Angel Muskane will call his name for the record.
Jordan Wright. Present.
Thank you so much. With that, we're going to move along. We're looking at our agenda. So everyone had a chance to review the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Motion by Isaac Scott, seconded by John Green. I'm going to accept a vote by acclamation. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. And again, this committee has been formed because this is the year that we will vote on our new officers. They have a 2-year term. Most of them, if all of them, have the ability to run for 3 consecutive terms. And after 3 consecutive terms, they are not allowed to run again. We are going to be having an election for all of our available positions, which will be chair, vice chair, secretary, assistant secretary, treasurer, and assistant treasurer. With that, we are going to move into the forms that I have included. In the interest of time, what I have done is compile information from previous elections so that our board, our committee members can review, and we can come up with consensus tonight of what we're gonna move forward on. So the first thing we're gonna look at is, I gave everyone a calendar, and this is for a little later in the agenda, if we are going to consider doing a candidates forum, whether in person or digitally. Maybe we can decide then on the date tonight so that we can streamline that. Angel Muskane has sent us the nomination period announcement, which is what we have to work. That's our most imperative thing right now. As part of our bylaws, we must give at the minimum of a 2-week period where nominations can be accepted by us so that we can collate them and then make the list of who is running for the positions. So as you see, it says the nomination period will commence we put something, I put something here as October 7th, which would be tomorrow. If we're all in agreement, then I will send out that email, tomorrow, at 12 AM. If not, we can take a motion, I can change that. And we can take a motion to decide that we're not gonna do it any later than a certain period of time. So it shouldn't be any later than October 10th, but we can say something like, you know, a motion to open up the nomination period no later than October 10th, which would then allow the committee flexibility to do it tomorrow or the 8th or the 9th, but no later than the 10th. By the 10th, we have to put in this process. So with that said, is there, would we like to discuss the date of opening the nomination period, or would someone like to make a motion based on what was just discussed by me?
Motion to nominate on October 7th.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, Isaac Scott, roll call vote, can we do it by acclamation? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No extensions? Okay, the motion carries. The period to begin the nomination will be October 7th at 12 AM. It says here, I will just do a friendly amendment that it will be sometime during October 7th, the date. It may not be exactly at 12 midnight. Okay, so with that, so we have that done. And then if you see, there is a nomination, a period nomination draft. If you could just look at it a quick minute, that was Angel Escape. So it says, you will find details outlining the process by which they will be accepted. The period will commence at October 7th. I'm going to take out the 12 AM. And will conclude no later than the business session of October 24th. That's our full board. And it tells about the positions, and it talks about the exceptions and how to make a nomination. Now, there was a nominations form, it's in your packet, and what they had originally was just the statement, it just said nomination statement, and it said, I hereby nominate for the position of blank, and do attest to his qualification, and it was just a signature. I added date and email because I thought if we had a question, right, and they submitted the form, and if we put it in a hard copy, let's say, if we needed a hard copy, the information was there. But instead of then having an email where, let's say, if I nominate Jordan, and then Jordan, then you send as the committee member to Jordan, you were nominated, and then Jordan sends back an email and having 2 or 3 papers. I thought, I wanted the committee to consider that if we did it all on one form, right? So we would forward the form that says Jordan, and then Jordan would accept, and then he would send it back to us, and then we would print it out, and then we would say when we received it and whether they accepted it or not. And then if he accepted it, then we would just put him on the list of the candidates. So I don't know if there's any suggestions for this form, if we think that this is a good form to use, or if we'd like to revise it. If it's fine, or Pastor Isaac, if you have any
That's not a question.
suggestions,
No,
sure.
So if someone not on this committee wants to nominate someone, they let us know and we,
No, so what we're gonna be doing is, I'm gonna send this
okay, got it,
with this,
got it, got it.
right? And then, I'm gonna send this with this, and then they're going to use this form because it has to be a written nomination. And so they'll write it, and then they'll send it back to the email that will be cb11elections@gmail.com, which is on the form itself. And so then we get it, we open it up, and let's say if it's for Jordan, then we forward it to Jordan and we say, you have been hereby nominated by this person. Please review and let us know if you would accept the nomination. And if you do, then you just send us back the form. If you don't, then you decline. And then you say, you know, you're not interested, and then we know what to tell the person who nominated you. And so that's where this form comes in. So it's this with this, basically will be the first step. Does anybody have any suggestions on the form? Does it look okay?
Should we add a, as it says, I hereby accept the nomination made of, is there a section that the person wants to deny it?
Right, so here,
Or-
right, so that's the acceptance, and I was gonna put, and I can, so we can put. I hereby accept the nomination, and then I could put a box and say, I decline nomination.
What if we said I acknowledge the nomination, and then there's either a box for accept or for deny?
We can do that, we can change it. I hereby acknowledge the nomination. Okay. Made above for the, and you can say accept,
Yeah,
or what is it, decline? Decline the nomination and do a test to my qualifications, if accepting, do a test. So I can reword, I can reword that, and fix it. So I can do that with the changes. Now, in light of the changes that have to be done to this form. So I'm gonna go back and revisit the nominations date, because the nominations date is tomorrow. Should we adjust that nominations date,
for my reference, but
right?
Pretty much, however many days you might,
So why don't we, so we can say something no later than,
okay, no later than that.
and then you have like 3 days, like you could do it the 7th, if you can do it the 8th or the 9th, but no later than the 9th.
Okay.
Okay, so, do we have to, do a vote to do that change from October 7th to October 9th?
Yes.
So do I hear a motion to accept, adjust the date from the previous motion of October 7th to October 9th? John?
Yes.
Okay,
Second.
second by. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so it's October 9th. All right, so just so that we're clear, and then we'll take a motion, for the changes. This will read similar to I, blah, 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 hereby acknowledge the nomination made above for the position of blank, of community board. And accept, check off a box, accept or decline. Right, and the nomination. If accepting, I do attest to my qualifications to serve in such capacity. And then, so I'll adjust that, and then, we'll be good with that. Any questions? Are there any issues with that? No? Okay, so we can move forward with that. The next thing is, so we did the nominating period will start no later than October 9th. We reviewed the nominating form, and we added the acceptance declaration section as recommended by Pastor Isaac Scott. Okay, so now the candidate process. There's a couple of forms in here. I sort of went form crazy, so I'm sorry. And then, so the next two, so there's three guidance, right? So the candidate process in the past has been where you start with the nomination form. And John, please feel free to step in, because John has done the last two committees, elections committees. So the way it's been is that there's a nomination, and at the full board, at the start of the business session is when we stop taking nominations. And then we put whatever came in, we put those names per position, and then we make an announcement that these are the candidates for the offices in question. What ends up happening is then the committee decides how are we gonna feed information to the board. So in the past, there's been candidate questionnaires,
Yes,
there's been resumes, so we can decide tonight what we think is acceptable. For the last cycle, John, it was the candidate questionnaire.
yeah, basically, because the thing is that you couldn't have a candidate forum because of the pandemic, so. The last forum we had, I think, was 2019.
Right.
So everything was done basically by Zoom 2 years ago.
Right, so we, in 2015, what we did was, we did a questionnaire and we compiled all the information. Digitally, and it was sent out to all the board members, so there was resumes in there, curriculum, details. And then everybody answered a particular set of questions. And then that was disseminated to the board, so they could get to know the candidates. And then we had a candidates forum. It actually happened that the same night that we had the candidates forum, the chair at that time, Matthew Washington, we threw him a farewell kind of thing, so it went well. We can still do that. We did not throw Matthew Washington a party, but we can still do the questionnaire, right? Angel can, give us that information. If we think that we're gonna do that, we can vote on doing a questionnaire. We don't necessarily have to see it tonight, and it can be the one that was circulated before, right? And then nothing says, I was speaking to Angel about a candidates forum. Well, we're in person, but nothing says that we can do a digital forum, which is technically what you guys did the last time.
Yeah.
So that may be an additional step. So when people read the stuff and then they have questions, where we can then have that. And that's where the calendar comes in, right? So if you look at the calendar, and we decide to make the candidates work a little for our votes, right? Angel brought up the fact that Thanksgiving week and that whole week, and maybe a little more, and Angel can speak for himself. It's not good because people go away and stuff like that.
Right.
And so if we are considering a candidates forum, then we should look like after the full board, right, of October, because that's when we're gonna make an announcement. And maybe sometime within the first 2 weeks in November. Angel, do you have, is it, in your opinion, based on your experience, the week of Thanksgiving and the week prior?
I think the week of Thanksgiving, the week prior, we shouldn't eliminate because we have already committee meetings there. We even have one on the 21st.
Okay, so this week,
I think all those dates, all the available dates other than 22, 23, 24 in November work.
Okay, so we have, if we look at November, right, we have the 3rd, the 10th, the 15th, the 17th. The 7th is closed because of election day.
Mhm.
You're not closed,
Is it Veterans
there's
Day
another
holiday?
one too,
Veterans Day, the 10th.
right, so the Veterans Day. Isn't that a Tuesday? the Veterans Day?
no,
Oh,
no,
it's
Veterans
not.
Day
Oh, so
is-
that would be Friday,
Yeah, Veterans Day is usually the 11th, but since the 11th is on
Right.
Saturday, the holiday's on Friday.
or the Monday, right? No, the Sunday would be Monday.
Right,
Just so that if the office is supposed to be closed, then we don't put in the 10th, because we don't wanna schedule anything when the staff. See, cause I have a city calendar and it says election and veterans off, yeah,
Okay, fine. Well, how's
but I just don't remember the date. So, okay, so let's not look at the 10th at all, just in case that's a day that, that the office may be closed and there may be no staff available. So we're looking at the 3rd, maybe the 15th, maybe the 17th. To do a candidate forum. Now, if we do it digitally. Then, Angel as the expert, notice I said you're the expert, could tell us what kind of help. Or what is it that we need to do? It would be just like, it would be like a Zoom meeting, like you just put on the hour. And stuff,
We'll do is November 10th, we'll post.
right, November 10th might be election day,
It's Veterans Day.
Veterans Day,
Veterans Day observed,
right, so you're off.
Yeah.
Okay.
and it's Friday, so.
Right, so no, so that's good. So we're talking about the 3rd, the 15th, and the 17th. So in terms of a digital forum, it would be just like we're doing right now, right? Like people would log in through a link, let's say the candidates, And then the rest of us will have to register so that we can go in and ask questions like a meeting.
Yeah, but it won't be, well, I think the public part you decide for yourself if you want it, like that doesn't have to be. But yeah, we'll just do a Zoom, keep it simple.
Okay, so I.
I would do it fully Zoom.
Right,
like,
okay, so how do we feel about that? A Zoom candidate forum?
That's
Yes?
fine.
Great.
Okay,
That's fine.
what day suggested? We have the 15th, the 17th, and the 3rd.
I like the 15th.
Like the 15th? Okay, John,
That's
15th?
fine.
Is there a motion to make the 15th the day?
Motion to make the 15th the date of the candidate forum, November
Okay.
15th.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Acclamation, all in
Aye.
favor? Aye. Okay, so the 15th will be the candidate forum, no abstentions, no votes, okay. So the 15th, and it will be a fully digital forum. We have decided that we're going to do a candidate questionnaire that Angel Niscane will potentially circulate the last one that was done. If we are good with what it says, then we won't revamp it. So I take a motion to the candidates forum. If it is fine, we will then be able to circulate it as part of the intake packet. All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So with that, see, we're zipping along. Next one, okay, so then. So we're gonna do a candidate questionnaire where they could put in a resume, a CV, or any other process that we believe or has been outlined in the past. Now, we will disseminate that through email. And we will also have paper packets here in the office for anybody who comes in. We will also have nomination forms and paper in the office for anybody who just wants to drop it off to Angel. That me. My apologies. So we've gone through the candidate process, but what I wanted to bring to there's some elections procedures that I'd like you to read at your leisure. This election night, CB11 elections of officers goes through the process. And it basically, there may be some corrections that need to be made to bring it up to date, but it gives a fairly good snapshot of what we would be doing, right? Now, there is a memo that I wrote in 2015 that I printed it out again. I tried to update it a little for your review and consideration. And so I'll read it out loud, not all of it, but in the past, when people begin to be a candidate an election year, sometimes they forget that everyone is busy, like Jordan has an event to do tonight. You have a call you have to do. John is always busy, but he always makes himself available, right? So sometimes people don't realize that they should, either make an appointment or just not call after a certain time or anything. So I made sure that I documented that this memo was actually a suggestion from the chair of 2015, who we had a discussion and this came out of it like organically. We felt at that time that we should not be election year 2. Like nobody should call us up asking us as the committee for you to vote for them. Why? Because you don't want to taint that process with someone saying, oh, Nosa's on the board and she's getting these calls from these people and blah, blah, blah. Is she using her influence to try to steer something? So if you notice that, so I put, the elections committee has decided that we will not receive any campaign communications, right? We're focused on running a good process and elections that are fair. We ask them not, unless there's a problem with process, not to bother us with emails or calling us or anything like that. I left the email open, but it's CB11 elections, I'll put that in. And we ask that they respect people's time and not to inundate people with calls and emails and all that stuff. And not to have other members of the board call on their behalf, like let's not do that. This also came up in that race. I can't talk about the 2 races after that. Although I could talk about some of the races after that, but I won't.
Well, 2019 was an experience though.
Right.
Because
So,
somebody was emailing folks to tell them to vote for people, so.
Mhm. So we have like horror
Yeah.
stories. And so one of the things that we had, number 3 was, at one point, I know this happened in 2015 and it could have been in 2017 as well. But people were saying, oh, you should vote for this person because of this, or you should vote for this person because of that. And trying to influence, so the number 3 is concerns have been raised in the past about people using race or gender as reasons by one candidate should be supported over another. Members have expressed that they do not like this sort of approach. So we ask that you refrain from doing that and allow members to base their decisions on the merit of each candidate's qualifications. If you're uncomfortable about how you're being contacted, to reach out to us, right? So that then we can carry it further. Does anyone have an objection for us sending something like this? Where it's of the electioneering do's and don'ts, where this would go to the whole board, but this is really targeted more towards the candidates, right? Like, everybody else will get it as a matter of form because transparency, but the candidates, this is more like a candidate's do's and don'ts. Is there any issues or anything like that?
I don't have any issues with it, and also the thing is that not only will it help the candidates, sometimes we do have a lot of new board members. And they may not understand, so that may prevent them from doing that also.
Okay, so is there a motion, to accept the candidate form for members of CB11 regarding electioneering doing those?
Motion to accept the.
Motion by Isaac Scott, is there a second? John Green, all in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any noes? The ayes have it, thank you so much. Moving right along. So we need to decide. And I might have skipped over because I'm trying to talk really fast.
You're doing great.
We need to decide the election, right? So as John mentioned, John had a digital election, but John has also done paper election.
Yeah.
When I was the chair in 2015, we were all in person and paper, right? We have the option to do paper or digital. Now, I'm gonna speak a little bit about it, but the actual specialist here is Angel. I'm not looking his direction because he's probably glaring at me there. But, so digitally, the benefit is, right? And then there's an email here that I put from Angel. So you can see how it will work if it was digital. It might be the last one in your packet, where it mentioned people from the last election, but it gives you a sense of how that went, right? So if it's digital, and Angel will speak to it if he wants to jump in at any time, my understanding was that there's a link that is released, everything is set up, all emails are confirmed of every single member. And then at a certain point in time, when the elections committee gives the go-ahead during that night, it gets switched on, and then we have to make sure, right, that we vote within the time frame of the meeting, and it gets automatically updated. And then it gets tallied and things like that, and we have preciseness, right, unless there's like a glitch. Angel's there.
Right, so the last time, like y'all were referencing, the last time we had an election was the throes of the pandemics, we had to do everything remotely. So the board amended its bylaws to remove the previous requirement that ballots be conducted by written ballot. Just essentially just eliminated the word written. So now it's just ballot. That gave us the opportunity to then, conduct the meeting, conduct the election via any kind of ballot, so the electronic ballot. So what we did is, we set up, we used a Google form, right? Those, like you said, the highlighted, the bolded ballots, right? Those are links. So we created Google form, that we activated the form at the beginning of the election in the meeting, right? So like the first ballot gets activated, the members present in the meeting are, advised that the form is active and they can respond to the form, fill out, select their candidates. You've used Google Forms, it populates a spreadsheet the spreadsheet was formatted, was not formatted to tally the votes. So then the elections committee, having access to the results page of the form, can see what, you know, who the winner was for that particular thing. If then a clear winner was not decided from the first ballot, then a notification for the second ballot is activated, you know. And it worked really well. The only thing that I left out, was prior to the election night, when we did that, I emailed the entire board to confirm the email of each member that they would be using to fill out the form, so that we wouldn't have duplication, right? So if Isaac's got one, Isaac's got two, so we wouldn't do that, so like we confirm which one are you gonna be responding with. So that's where you would, you know, like, you would be able to access the form, so that we knew that when we got, you know, Isaac's got, you know, whatever, okay, that's the only one, and there's no duplicate votes. So I did that like a week or so, or whatever, before the meeting, confirmed everyone, and then we were good to go. Then the election was easy, you know, everybody was home, just send them the link for the ballot, you know, it took seconds. I think we had one contested, but not contested, but one that didn't result, and we had to redo it. But it was easy. We were speaking before the meeting this evening that since we'll be in person, if we went the electronic ballot route, we would be, you know, members would be, you know, need to access the form. So either on their phone or a laptop, whatever they're bringing. So if they didn't bring a phone or some kind of, you know, tool to be able to get online to do the form, then they might get a disadvantage. So I guess you could, now that I'm saying it out loud, you could use the electronic form, and then if any members came to the meeting that didn't have access to anything, you could set something up, or you could have a paper ballot that then would be, their vote would be added to the form by the elections committee after you brought that. As long as anyone can vote.
Just like with general elections, we have write-in ballots.
Yeah, right, there you go. Or then the other thing is to just go fully paper. Everybody in person, get the piece of paper, fill out the paper, hand it, drop it in a box or whatever you set up. And then after you close the election, then the elections committee would begin tallying. And well, no, the meeting would stop for the elections, right? You have the election and everything stops.
A separate room.
No, you stay in the same place. Everyone just gets their form, goes back, fills it in, gives it back, drops it in the box, right? Then once everyone has responded, then the elections is, you know, the balloting part is closed. And then you open the box and the elections committee starts, you know, reviewing the results and tallying. And then if the votes are conclusive, then the elections committee announces, you know, for the position of blah, 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 you know, Joey Chestnut won or Scooby-Doo, whatever.
So there is a world that we can do it all digital. There's a world that we can do it all paper.
Yep.
Or there's a world that we can do it digital and paper hybrid to make in terms of the speed of process, the digital is the faster way.
Clearly the fastest way.
I can also offer to bring like 2 or 3 extra MacBooks that we could set up, and people can just, you know, it won't be logged into an email, so you'll have to log into your email, fill it out and log out, and then the next person can go.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
So is it with the digital, would there be a way that we can put some kind of an alarm? I'm thinking that's the wrong word, so when Angel knows how I can talk. Wrong word, but something that can alert us to who hasn't voted. Or we will expect the person to say, I don't have my phone, I need a paper ballot. Like, I'll bring up, we have members who are not comfortable of a certain age like me, that could do it both ways, but may not necessarily do it on the phone well.
So I think what you could do then is you could offer the electronic ballot. And then say, as part of your announcement, for those members that would prefer to submit in writing, you know, then they have the option of the paper ballot. I would suggest for that, which is fine, because you probably just get a handful. Include on the ballot that they opted out of the electronic form,
Okay,
right? So if because we're gonna have to take attendance, we'll have to do a roll call before the election starts. So then we know that these 30 of the 48 members are present. Those are the only people eligible to vote,
okay,
right? And then if 5 of those are choosing a paper ballot, then once the election is closed, then we see electronically, we have 25 responses and 5
Okay,
paper
that
ones,
makes
then
sense.
you're good. Then you know
sounds
you're
like proxy.
but if you end up at 29, you're like, somebody's missing.
Uh-huh. So what, John?
Basically, like, when we had in-person meetings before the pandemic, we gave the members an option of having the minutes done by people or using a tablet during the meeting.
Mhm.
Basically, so that's basically what we would do for the vote, for the vote as well.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so, would someone like to, do we need to discuss this further? And if we don't need to discuss it further, can someone make a motion based on what they think we should consider? And then if it's a second, then we'll vote on it.
Motion for hybrid ballots throughout the meeting for write-in and for paper.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any noes? It passes. Okay, so then we have that. So the assignment for committee member roles will now be dictated by the digital ballots and that. So we will need someone or a few people, let's say teams of 2, right? And we don't have to decide on it tonight because we can continue it as a working group, right? Like just ironing out some details. We don't necessarily have to call a meeting just to iron out 1 detail or 2 details, right? I'm not doing that, going to anybody, right? So we will do an assignment of committee roles where, let's say, our 2 most technically savvy people could be reviewing the ballot thing. And then, you know, John is, if we're giving the candidates time, let's say a few minutes to talk, like let's say 3 minutes to talk and 2 minutes for questions. Although if they did the candidate form and the informational stuff, there may be no questions. By that time, you just want to probably get it over with.
Mhm.
But we could give them 3 minutes to talk. You don't necessarily have to give them 2 minutes to field last minute questions from the board. And then, you know, John is really good about being a timekeeper. He has no problem telling you like, Dutch or time. I'm being diplomatic because he's always diplomatic. So we can discuss, we will have people looking at the computers and tallying that. We can have people we can have a member or 2 who will be in charge of giving out the paper ballots, right? And opting and collecting. We'll have someone who can be in charge of time, you know, to make sure that the candidates stay on task. So those are the kind of things that we're going to see. And then at the end, we all will be tasked to double checking our tallies, right? In tandem with our district manager, so that we can make sure, 1, that we have the paper ballots, we collected it, nothing's gotten lost. I'm gonna even take a picture of them just to make sure that nothing gets misplaced. And so those were the assignment of committee member roles. So those are the kind of things that we will discuss, or we'll just finalize, but we'll know that we'll have roles. The time we needed for the entire process, obviously, is the nominations period is at least 2 weeks. It's gonna start before October 9th, anywhere between the 7th, 8th, or 9th time frame. We are going to have the informational email sent. Angel will send us the questionnaire so that we can review and see if there's anything that we would like to add. If we'd like to add it, I will have Angel figure out a way, maybe as a Google Doc or whatever, that we can edit it. So that after the nominations period, then the form is already set to go and everybody can start filling it out with their resume. Yes, and then
will part of the task be to make the form too?
the form, the one that was done in 2019, let's say, right? So then we can then review it and add to it. And then if there's any changes,
So
like
the ballot.
I'm talking about the ballot, no, not.
No,
I'm
no,
talking about on the
the
day,
questionnaire.
that's the questionnaire, the ballot, that
Oh,
we're
okay,
actually
sorry.
voting.
Yeah, the ballot is just the person's name and then the candidates, and then you just check off.
right,
So
but
Should
as
not
a,
vary from that.
Do we
right,
have
but
to
the-
make it though, is what I'm
No,
asking.
no,
Okay.
right, but the paper ballot, you're
It'll be-
gonna have
it'll
a
be the-
box,
It'll be the same thing as
but they
theirs.
opted out of electronic form,
They can check that,
right,
but it'll be on the paper one only.
right, on the paper one
Yeah,
only.
yeah.
So I was talking about, sorry, Isaac, I was talking about, the candidate, the little questionnaire, if they fill it out. That if we could put it on like a Google Doc, something, if there's an additional question that this committee would like to have, if not, then it's.
For the ballot,
For the questionnaire.
oh, for the question,
For the candidates, yeah.
I'm sorry, I was.
That's okay, right? That's something that we can do, and then just, okay. And so,
Lucas, I think you mentioned when in the agenda the election is. The election is the last committee. So after all the
Okay.
in the November meeting,
right,
after all the business is done,
right,
right? So usually executive is the last one to report.
right,
Once election is done reporting, then election.
right, so you see, that was number C, scheduling of elections and agenda.
Hmm.
So we will be the last one to present. That means that we're gonna try really hard to encourage everyone to shorten their presentations. We're gonna ask the committees not to schedule presentations if they don't have to. We will ask the committee chairs to put their minutes for informational purposes only unless it's to inform on a vote. So that this way we can, because it can be lengthy, and so we wanna try to get that out. Are there any questions in everything that I said really, really fast? No,
We also won't have any public hearings that day.
we hope not to,
Okay.
right? Because the ballot terrace is this month,
Yeah, and budget is this month too, so it's all.
right? So we're pretty good, so we can try to
Unless the crazy
streamline
comes.
that meeting, and then telling the electeds not to take up our time with telling us things that they already did. If they could, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but if you can submit a newsletter for that time or something, that would be really greatly appreciated, because we're taking our elections on that day. Thank you so much, John.
Oh, I just want to give credit where credit's due. Where I, as being a timekeeper, that was created from the 2019 candidate forum by a young lady named Jenny Tromsky.
Oh, Jenny's awesome. So, and we will carry forward Jenny's legacy with this. And so with that said, is there any new business? The next meeting, I will not schedule a next meeting. The next comments and working will be done through via email on the documents we voted on and have motioned on. We will adjust what's needed. Once I adjust everything, I will send it to everyone before I release the nominations period and memo. I will send that out as a matter of form before the date. It will happen before the 9th, so that you will have it. Are we all clear on what I said? Any questions? You can follow up with me via email. And with that said, if there's nothing further, this now entertain a motion for adjournment. John, seconded by,
Second.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 7:14 PM. Thank you so much. Have a good day, everyone. Adios.
Thank you.